Thanks everyone for joining us. For Gonzaga, we have head coach Lisa Fortier, Eliza Hollingsworth, and Yvonne Ejim. Coach, would you like to start?
Sure. I thought our team really played hard today. Portland was aggressive and very physical throughout the entire game, and the turnovers were the reason for the outcome, in my opinion. They turned us over, and our shooting percentage wasn't amazing, but it was good enough. So I wish we would have handled the pressure a little bit better than we did. I'm happy with some of the things that we did as a team. But the third quarter, we couldn't stop them from scoring, which obviously you can't give up 26 very often, even if you only hold them to 8 in the second and have a favorable outcome. So a lot of things I wish we would have done a little bit different, but Portland did a good job of executing and pressuring everywhere that we went and made things difficult for us today.
Thank you, Coach. Questions? Yeah.
I think she's okay. Yeah, I didn't see it on the film, but it looks like maybe a shoulder thing, but they said it was incidental contact, so I'm not sure, but she's seen the doctor. She's okay.
As far as the turnovers, was a lot of this decision-making, do you think? A lot of those balls got swallowed up in the paint?
Yeah, I think there's two people on you all the time. So whenever the ball comes to somebody, there's two or three. The turnovers that happened around the basket, some interior passing. I think we were a little bit hesitant at different times. There were some shots I wish we would have just shot the first time, but we're overpassed a little bit, and they're pretty good at closing. There's pressure on the ball, and then they're pretty good at shooting the gaps as the ball is going to the next person. So perimeter ones, they're always coming from the weak side over. I think the ones around the basket, sometimes we can just power through. They got Cochran in there at times, and so even when she wasn't in there, that they never say, I'm not overly impressed by shot blockers. It's just the threat of the shot block, and that sometimes makes players tentative around there, so I think that leads to some of the overpassing possibly.
For both players, was Cochran at the threat of that block, like Coach said? Was that a consideration for you guys?
I guess her presence is always when we're in the key, and I feel like obviously having a 6'7" girl in there, you're gonna have to make sure that you're making smarter reads and stuff like that. I feel like if anything, it just throws off how sharp we are with some of our things, and depending on if it works before, maybe it won't work now. So I feel like that decision-making piece that her presence kind of makes us do changes a little bit of the game down low.
Coach, during that stretch when you guys were turning the ball over, you could see Lynn's frustration grow and grow, and she was struggling a little bit. What did you say to her to settle her down? She hit that big three late that got you guys closer before Bonnie hit her big shot. How were you able to try and get her back in, because you could see it was starting to take a toll on her?
Yeah, well, she played a lot of minutes. I think she was tired. I think it's emotional. I actually thought that the pass wasn't Brennan's fault. The one that it was a turnover between those two, and so I wanted to talk to her about what she saw and what I saw, and then just remind her that we're going to take you out for a second to settle down, but this is not out of hand. This is not out of reach. Our team looks to you to be steady. That's the best thing that you've done all year for us, is be steady. And so it's just a reminder to her that when it's chaos, which is hard, it's hard to be steady when you're being trapped and double teamed the entire game and the ball's in your hands for 36 and a half minutes. And so I understand, but just trying to get her back down. And you guys have all heard me say that she doesn't get rattled very easily. And I don't necessarily, she wasn't overly rattled, but we had a minute where our whole team was a little shook. Yesterday I took my turn being shook. They took their turn a little bit today being shook. So that's what we talked about.
Eliza, can you talk about the fact that you're still in the NCAA tournament? Does that help with today, or is that tomorrow's help?
It definitely gives us something to focus on other than just the loss, and know that we can learn from this and get better, and that the season's not over yet. This loss will help us in really focusing down this next week to who we play, and then coming out with the ferocity that we need, so we don't have this loss again. So it's comforting to know that we have some of the season less, and we just need to focus and tune in on it and fine-tune our things in our offense. Yeah.
Yvonne, same question for you.
Yeah, kind of just going off of Lies, just having the tournament just gives us a little bit more to think of. Obviously, we don't want to brush off this game just so fast. We need to learn from it, dissect it, take stuff away from it in order to continue growing. And I feel that's something that we just have to keep in the back of our heads. Just because we're in this position today doesn't mean we're in this position tomorrow. And I feel that just goes back to getting better every single day from whatever you're learning from.
Lisa, you guys held Fowler scoreless in the first half. She had 15 in the second. Seemed like she was more aggressive. Can you just talk about what you saw from her?
Yeah, well, she's always trying to draw fouls. So I think she only got to the free throw line a couple times, but she's trying to be aggressive and do that. And we knew that was going to happen. She had 7 rebounds at halftime, but she was 0 for 5, I think. And, these guys did the lion's share of that. We had good help around her, but the ball, they started throwing her the ball on the perimeter and then letting her work outside in, and we had a hard time stopping that. So I think that's kind of what changed. They were positioning her differently.
Lisa, what's your message to your team?
I mean, she drew 9 fouls, so
Sorry.
it's okay.
What's your message to your team between now and Sunday?
I don't know yet. I'm not good at this day. That's what I told the team, was that I never want to be good at this speech. And I feel like crying alongside of you, and, it sucks. And, all along when we've had all these injury issues and different things have come up, like we talk about choices pretty often, and like you have a couple choices, and we always want to choose the one that's learn and get better. There are some people, one of my assistants mentioned this, and I agree with this too. There are some people who are upset, and then they sit around and mope and complain and point fingers in this weird, awkward time. We're so early with our tournament. We've got another week, and then we find out where we're going, then we have another week, it seems like. And so some people take it and just they're tired of the season and this and that, and then they usually don't do very well in the NCAA tournament. And we don't want to be that team. We want to have the right attitude and see what things we can fine tune and see if we can have some fun in March. There's still a lot, this was of course one of our goals, was not to lose this game or to win this game, but we have other goals too. And hopefully that will be things that we can refocus on once we get through the next day or two.
One thing you know really well is that the seeding matters
Mm-hmm.
when you get in this next tournament. If you could stand in front of the committee and sell your team, what would you tell them?
I would tell them that this team is just now, I think, finding some rhythm from a season that was completely rhythmless. Like if you want to talk about a quarter where you don't have any offensive rhythm or something, I mean, that's what our season has been. We've had players come in and go in the entire time. And so we're, I think, finding rhythm. Obviously, it didn't work out for us today, but we're getting better in all the areas still. I haven't seen us defend weak side and rebound in the ways that we have in the last 3 or 4 games. So I think that our team still has some getting better to us. And I think we're every bit as good as, anyone thought we were after we went out to the Bahamas and won those games. And every bit as good as we are when we went, 17-1? These guys won the 2 game. They did beat us one game out of this thing, but we did it for 17 games. Every single night we were ready to play, and that was with a variety of people. So that's my plug on my team. I'll take them against any team out there. So.
For Eliza or Bonnie, you guys in your prior 3 losses this year, after those losses, you've come back and gone on a run of wins. Just speaking from experience from those games in particular, how does bouncing back from a loss, how does that kind of help you guys kind of get re-energized and get ready for March right now?
I can go. I think that losses expose some of the team's greatest weaknesses. Individually and cohesively as a team. So I think from this loss we can learn a lot and take that into practices and work day in, day out, and it gives you that fire so the next time you do come out you don't make the same mistakes again. You just got to remember these losses, and so in the future you hopefully don't have to have that fire, and I think you do a good job at that, but again, just reinforces it, and individually you can work on things that necessarily you didn't know to do in the game, and then as a team you can work on those together. Yeah,
I feel like it gives us a little bit of fire as well, just knowing that we're feeling this feeling right now, but that won't last and we don't want it to. I feel like that gives us a little bit of momentum to want to play better than we did right now, this game, and kind of, I don't know how after losses and our runs and stuff like that it went, but I feel like during the time of runs, it really was just our team knowing what we want to do, where we want to be and where we want to go, and having that be something that pushes us forward.
Any other questions? Great, thank you so much.
Thank you.
time now.
Bathroom.
Yeah. Portland hasn't gone to their locker room yet.
They have not.
They have not gone to their locker room yet. Gonzaga locker room is open for another 6 minutes.
So they're gonna have 10 minutes in their locker room before they come here, presumably?
They have up to 10 minutes.
Oh, good, thank you. Thanks for checking.
Hi, I'm gonna be working, in the press room, we're waiting for the reporting team, so I won't be able to talk to you probably after that. But I'll text you with the info. So, cool, okay, I'll talk to you. All right, love you, bye.
Aside from Fowler and Burnham, will anybody need to use or go to Portland's locker room?
No.
You will? Okay.
So the, last time Portland was in the tournament was 97,
Okay.
or I'm asking you.
I'm double check. I can double check.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think in 2020, obviously they won, but
Wasn't
they
it
didn't go.
I think
Right.
94, not 97.
94.
94 is the only other time besides this year in 2020.
Okay,
that they
okay,
won
I
the
would
tournament.
want to make sure, 94.
I can confirm that for you. Give me 10 seconds.
Yeah,
I had
okay.
it.
Cool.
And then
Wow, that's a long time ago.
I've got it as NCAA tournament. 94. Well, they won the conference tournament in 94 and 2020.
I've got them in the tournament in 97.
Yes.
You do? Okay.
Yeah, the last
They
time
were-
they won this tournament
So
was
they
Oh,
got
okay, so they
an
did.
at-large bid in 97?
Yeah.
and 96 and 95.
Oh, okay.
Yep. 4 years in a row.
Okay, so
They're
that's
six-
why I was confused, all right, somebody was.
Yeah, it's their